Now, the story goes, the director didn't want to seem like he was showing favoritism by hiring the lead and then the brother to play the brother. Like, nah, so he just went a different direction. So be it.
Look, the biggest podcast where you can learn them lessons. Line for line where you can learn from different sections. Made it out the mud, come tell your story, blessings. Never know who listening, never know who stressing. Devon gave you a voice, come speak your honest truth. Line for line, go bar for bar, it's up to you. Wanna talk sports, gov, and politics? Wanna talk about where you from and your accomplishments? The Line for Line is really where you need to be. A platform that's really made for folks like you and me. You can find it all no matter what you seek. Whether you calling or you listening, tune in every week.
All right, we are back on a very, very, very special episode of Line for Line. You know, a lot of people are wondering how I made this happen, you know, but we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Omar Gooding in the building. Omar, how are you doing today?
Blessed and highly favored. How about yourself?
I'm actually doing really, really good, man. So I do have one question before we even start, just since I see like the background. Mm-hmm. What is up with your Lakers, man?
Injuries. Yeah.
Would you say that their season is in jeopardy?
Sure. We don't. Health is a major part of any sports franchise, man. But
yes,
we're in jeopardy. I got a lot of people that conspiracy theorists that are saying that they're just resting for the playoffs. After winning a ring.
Yeah.
And then jumping right back into the season, you're kind of looking for a reason to sit people down. So I like the new additions. It'd be nice if they had a little more time to gel together. But we shall see. We shall see. I'm fairly optimistic.
Yes, sir. I definitely appreciate you. So I will just give you a little bit about myself. Before we start, are you using a Chrome or a Safari browser?
Chrome.
Oh, you are using Chrome. Okay. 'Cause I'm wondering why it's not downloading your content. Like it should say like, 45 MBs used or whatever like that. All right, but we'll figure that out later. Okay, so I'll just give you a little bit about me. My name's Devon. I reside in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Have you ever heard of that?
I have heard of it, yes.
Was it because of the Jacob Blake shooting, or have you heard of it before that?
Probably because of Jacob.
Okay, yeah. See, that's definitely what Kenosha is known for right now because of that. But yeah, so I started a podcast around 2019. I've always been like quite the talker. My friend, I've always been quite the talker. And I was just always good at carrying a conversation with like anyone, whether I meet them in the airport, whether I meet them at school, train station, whatever the case may be, I've always been a good talker. So I just want to say thank you for giving us a little bit of your time today. So let's go ahead and start this right, brother. So just give us a little bit about your story of like how you got to where you are, Obviously we want to start with childhood first, like maybe bumps in the road you may have faced or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, man. I come from a line of entertaining family. My father was Cuba Gooding Sr. of the Main Ingredient. He started in the 70s, and one of his biggest hits was a song called "Everybody Plays the Fool." Yeah, he was born. He was from Barbados. His father was from Barbados. Mother was black, so we have West Indian descent. His name was Cuba Gooding Sr. Well, his name was Cuba Gooding till he had a couple kids. Then he had to add that senior on there. And one of his sons were Cuba Gooding Jr., of course, who won the Oscar. It was quite a journey that we went through. Now most of my family, my mother, my father, sister, and brother, all from New York. My mother and father were born in Harlem, raised in the Bronx. So my brother and sister, who are 1 year apart, to the day, they actually share a birthday. April is the oldest. Yeah, April is the oldest. Cuba came second, 1 year exactly later. And then 9 years later, Omar was born, myself, So they were born in the Bronx. And when they were about 5 or 6, we moved to California. Then I was born, like I said, about 4 years after that. So so there's a big gap between my brother and I, about 9 years. It's pretty much like a whole generation. People say, "Oh, well, we didn't know you guys were brothers, or you guys don't kick it alive." Look, man, he's got his whole squad. I got mine. It's just that's just how it was. And we're always raised to be our own men. You know what I mean? So, so my father, he had a lot of fame back, like I said, in the 70s. I was born in 76. So by then, interesting thing about that year. Apartheid was big in Africa, and he went out there to perform. And when he came back to the U.S., it wasn't such a warm welcome from
Oh
from the
no.
United States because
Yeah.
they didn't want their entertainers going out there. And he, my father, he couldn't tell him shit. You know what I'm saying? So he went out there and performed, and it was an experience for him that he enjoyed. Enjoyed being around, back in the motherland and whatnot. But
Yeah.
when he came home, a lot of things dried up. Money slowed down, the gigs, the record spins, everything. So, we lost a lot of his fortune and his assets. So he would have to. He began to really be on the road a lot. You know what I mean? So while he was gone, my brother was the head of the house until he was of age, and then he left, and then here I am, 10 years old as the man in the house trying to earn a living. So I wound up, I got into acting. I actually followed my brother in because I went and picked up a script for him from his agent. And she saw me and said, "Oh man, you got a cute little smile." My mother always taught us to speak clearly and proper.
Yes.
Enunciate your words. I never did talk a lot of baby talk. I got really, I came right out. "Hello, my name is Omar Miles Gooding."
Yeah.
So that helped me breaking into the business, landing roles.
Yeah.
So I actually went on 2 auditions my first time out and booked one, which is kind of unheard of.
What Wild and Crazy's Kids?
Oh, the first audition that I had, it was for a show called, it was actually a McGruff the Crime Dog educational film.
Okay.
Now, the
Okay.
first actual, I say my big break speaking role was for Webster. People remember that show, Webster?
For Webster, yeah.
Yeah, I had a speaking role on that. Then the next big role for me was Ghost Dad, starring Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
And then, as you mentioned, when I finally was able to have my mom quit her job and become my manager, was when I landed Wild and Crazy Kids.
Yeah,
Wild
yeah,
and Crazy
definitely.
Kids was it for me. That's when I knew, I found my niche. Saw them checks coming in regularly.
Yeah.
So that thing ran for 3 years consecutively. Now I started when I was 12. That show. So I was in the business since I was 9. It took me about 3 years to land a regular series role. 3 years on Wild and Crazy Kids. Right when that finished, I started a show called Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Years,
yeah.
Right? So then when Mr. Cooper ended, right as it ended, I got offered a role to play Mo in Smart Guy. And then Smart Guy
That was one of my favorite after-school specials. Morris
Yeah.
Tibbs. Oh my gosh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it was one of the executive producers from Hanging with Mr. Cooper that moved on and started a new show and said, "Hey man, I need you on this one." So I just rolled right into that. So it was great, man. Before you look up, you blink. Now I'm 24 years old. You know what I mean? So that took me all through school, all high school. You know what I'm saying? What would have been college, I'm working already. So
Yeah.
and then my real turning event in my acting career was when I got a call from John Singleton, who said that he saw me in one of the films that I did for TNT.
Rest in peace,
Freedom
Johnson.
Song. So, and it was a really small role, but he said something that he saw in me led him to believe that I could star in his newest film called Baby Boy. And he sent me the script, and I read it, hit the gym, and man, that was that. The beautiful thing about it was a different side of me that people didn't know about. It was more extreme than me personally, but it was an easy role per se for me to tap into, because it was like if a couple things went differently in my life, that could have very well been me. So I knew, just being from LA and growing up in the streets, even though I was acting, acting was just my job. When they said cut, I went to the homies. When I'm out in the streets and I'm out going around, I'm not hanging out with famous actors. I'm hanging out with guys that I know really got my back. Then some shit went down, which happened on plenty of occasions. You know what I mean? So when I got this script, man, I was surprised at how much it really hit home for me. The similarities in the script and my real life and people that I know and that I was associated with. So I was able to just tap into that and draw from that. And kind of let out a lot of the frustrations of growing up, and just, even though it sounds like everything was great, there's parts that I've kind of glossed over. Like we were homeless for a while, living in a car, and, dad never being home, but missing him and wanting your dad, that type of thing. So kind of letting all that built up frustration and whatnot, just kind of releasing it. It was therapeutic in that film, man. So, and then after that, it was easier for me to book dramatic roles because they saw me in a different light. Like
Yeah.
prior to that movie, I would audition for roles, and they would say, he did good, but where do we know him from? What is his? What will his name? How will his name help us sell this film? If people only know him for comedy and black sitcoms and stuff like that, Wild and Crazy Kids, that doesn't, you put Omar Gooding in front of it, and they're gonna go, that funny guy, until Baby Boy hit. Now when they put my name out there, they go, oh yeah, he can do this and do that. All right, let's make it happen.
That's so crazy. You talked about a lot of stuff that I wanted to ask questions about, because I did see. Correct me if I'm wrong. You grew up in the California area, correct? That was going to be my question. So it's like, were there situations and times that you were put in that helped you channel into a character like Sweet Pea? You know what I'm saying? Like, because he embodied just a true California like gangster around that time. So that was definitely going to be one of my questions. Like, how did you go about tapping into that role and channeling?
Yeah,
that?
man. I mean, even specifically, there was an incident where I was out with my friends, and we're like 21, 22 at the time. And we went to a house party where there were guys that were younger than us, you know what I mean? And they were from a certain gang, and I guess, sometimes people wound up, everything's always connected. So somebody knew somebody, some female was involved, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But it was just me and two other guys, and there was about 15, 16 of them. And we didn't really get jumped per se. I mean, they tried. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't touched, but a friend of mine was.
Yeah.
Right? So they hit him with a pistol, and he falls flat out, and I thought he was dead. And this is one of the closest humans to me in my life, So, and I'm holding him, and this blood coming down, and the ambulance comes and gets real crazy. And it was a traumatic experience for me because he was like a hero to me. So to see him down there like that, and to know that these guys were younger than us, but they, that kind of young thing, you know what I mean? What wound up happening was there was never any retaliation on our part other than what happened right there in the moment. But it was, things like that happen in a movie, and you'd be like, oh, we're going to go out and get them, or this and that. One of them is no longer with us. Another one went to jail. Other one this, other that. God took care of them in that situation, So, a couple years later, when I get this script, and I read the part where he's like, I got jumped by some little niggas, you know what I mean? And I'm lining them up. All I'm thinking about is that incident.
Yeah.
I could have caught up with them and got some, proper retaliation, that type of thing. But I was able to just kind of channel that through the film.
Yeah. I must tell you, you did your thing as that role. Till this day, honest to God, me and my lady will she'll be in the bedroom, I'll be in the living room, and one of us will yell, "Kim, go in the house, Kim, Kim, go in the house, Kim." And it's just like the funniest thing ever, because that was like one of the most pivotal parts of the movie, like when Tyrese was as if he had got shot, And
it's so funny, man. As a people, we laugh at a lot of stuff, and that's kind of how we deal with stuff. It's funny when we did the film. The last thing on our mind is this is a funny movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We played it straight as hell, but a lot of people that see it go, man, I saw Baby Boy. That shit was funny as hell. We got to go funny. Yeah, I mean, the last thing you would think, but I get
Yeah.
Too, as a cast, we were cracking up laughing at every little thing. There were certain things that were meant to be funny. Ving Rhames coming out naked holding the tray, Little stuff there that John specifically was doing. But a lot of stuff, you just kind of have to play it straight, and then, comedy finds its way out. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man, it was definitely one of my best experiences on set.
So speaking of that movie, this is just things that I've heard throughout my years. I'm 28 now, but I've heard this several times. Is it true that John Single intended that role to be for Tupac Shakur?
Absolutely, yeah.
No.
So he Tupac, and he passed. So when he died, he just basically put that script on the shelf.
Yeah.
And waited for the right person. That he think, and not to say that Tyrese was Tupac, but I think his combination of skill level that he, this is the thing about John Singleton that was so great. He would pull it out of you. He created so many A-listers and icon celebrities. You got to think, if you think back to first movie that maybe you saw him direct and produce, you could think Boys in the Hood, starring my brother, Cuba Gooding Jr., who was a relative unknown. This was before his Oscar. Nia Long, and people from other genres, either an unknown actor or someone that from something else, like a rapper, Ice Cube, You know what I'm saying?
Boy. Yeah.
But when you're watching it, you're not thinking that's that rapper or that's that comedian or that's that something else. You're watching going, this is some real shit.
Yeah.
And John was a supreme motivator. He knew how to bring it out of you. I mean, even with me, he knew it was in there, but it had to be refined and honed. He had to figure out how to motivate me. So I will tell you about this story. The second or third day, what John liked to do is rehearse. A lot of rehearsals. The script itself, when it says written and directed by John Singleton, it was written and directed, but there was no ad-libbing. You know what I mean? You may get away with a word here or add a nigga there or a fuck there or something like that. But it sticks to the script when you fuck with John.
Yeah.
So, but his, your time to ad-lib and kind of put your own spin on it is in the rehearsals. Mm-hmm. So when we were rehearsing the film, one day, right after we finished, I think like the second rehearsal, he said, all right, good job, everybody, but some of us tomorrow, when we come in, some of us need to step it up. And he looks at me directly in the face, right? He's all right, see y'all tomorrow. I'm like, motherfucker. I'm looking around like, okay. So I go home and I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm stewing about it. And I come in the next day and I'm fired up, bro. Like, he's like, all right, today's exercise, we're going to sit one of you in the middle of everyone else sitting around chairs, and everybody in character will ask that person a question in character, and we'll just kind of do some backstory development type of thing. He was like, so who wants to go first? I'm like, me? Let's do it. And I sit there. And every time somebody asks me something, I'm just on them. I'm ad-libbing, I'm making up shit, I'm going at them. I'm like, well, what you got? And it was funny is, throughout the day, every exercise we had, I was first to, I was just on it. I was totally on my shit, and I was very aggressive, And Bing Rames was there, all of the top cast was there.
Yeah.
And Bing was like, every time Bing said something, I'd jump on him. What? And I think by the end of the day, end of the whole session, he'd had enough. You know what I mean? So he came back at me, and he said some shit. And next thing I know, we're rolling on the ground, and we're rolling all on the floor. And he has me in a headlock, and I get on him at first, and I'm like, what? Kind of got that little young dude strength. And then his grown ass man strength kicked in, and he pinned me to the floor. And I was able to wriggle my hands free close enough to the top of his forehead, and I kissed it. And I said, cut, nigga.
Yeah.
Because John wouldn't say cut. He just had his little camera and he just let it go. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, Bing walks over to me at the end and he says, damn, man, would you take some acting classes overnight? You was a different person today. And I was just like, well, So John just had that way of pushing your buttons and telling you what you needed to hear to get what it needed out of you. I know the first scene that we filmed was the garage scene. I asked Tyrese, told him I want to be saved, and he's sitting there with the bike spinning.
What you good at, P?
Man, you know what I mean? Robbing. And, John just says, I need you to really sell this for me here because I'm sending this to Paramount. They're going to know that we're making a real movie, So whatever you got to do to get your heart racing, jump up and down, jumping jacks, push-ups, whatever. When I say action, I already want your heart ready to be beaten out of your chest. What I did, man, and I kind of carry that with me in other roles. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna do a scene, I know it's a big scene. I got to get it going. I do some push-ups. You know what I mean? Some jumping jacks, whatever it is. Make sure my heart is racing. So by the time they say action, I'm almost sweating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Coming out the tunnel, he's already warmed up. So yeah, man, that was R.I.P. John Singleton, man.
Definitely big R.I.P. He's definitely a legend. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely played in houses across all America and the whole world till this day. Definitely. So since we're speaking a little bit about roles, what would you say your most favorite role was as of today? Like your favorite role that you played.
That's tough, man, because I love doing comedy. Who wouldn't want to just laugh all day long?
Yeah.
So I've there are a lot of experience, a lot of memorable times from Smart Guy with different cast members and people, and being with friends and being at home. And, it was a good time on that set. It was always positive. It was always fun to be at work type of thing.
Yeah.
The role just seemed like it was written for me. But one thing I never got to do in high school, very first day of high school, I tried out to play football. I wanted to be a tight end. I wanted to, catch the pass, hit somebody, come out, catch that pass, score to win. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't wait to play football in high school. And I showed up on the first day, and coach was like, it's all about dedication. So, I know this is the first day of high school, especially for you freshmen. but practice starts today. You know what I'm saying? Tryouts today, you know. And I was like, all right, coach, but check this out. I got to film today and then for the rest of this week, but I'll be back when I can. He's like, man, get the hell out of here. You know, so he never let me play. You know, I would show up when I was there, but I was working a lot anyway. So I oh, we had a big game today. Sorry, I'm on set today. I can't play.
Yeah.
That just didn't happen. So after I finished, because it was after Baby Boy, I think it was about 03, I got I actually landed a role to play the lead running back in a TV show called Playmakers. Now, I went for 1 year, and it was on ESPN, and man, talk about good times. For one, I got to, like, you know, kind of how Baby Boy was therapeutic and kind of got to get out those, exercise those demons. This was my dream of being not only playing football, but of being a football star. Anybody that plays football always wants to go to NFL. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Now we were out in the CFL. We filmed it in Toronto. So we were at Toronto, by the way. Oh, as a single man in Toronto, my man. It was awesome.
Don't get me started on like my dream to go.
Let me just put that out there for one. And then, you know, it felt like art imitating life because, you know, I was playing a star running back, and then I was a TV star out there. And after the first couple episodes aired, and there go that guy, you know. So I go to clubs and stuff. I felt like the guy, yeah. And I lived it up, yeah. So it was that was a special time of my life to not only fulfill that dream of being a football player. And I'm telling you, I really felt like a football player. I'm talking about. There's a scene where we had to run the 40 and race each other. Yeah. We did this thing over and over and over again until I blew both my hamstrings out. And I learned about Epsom salt, ice baths, all that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, they didn't. It wasn't until after a few episodes that they got us body doubles to do all of the stunts.
I was ask that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they had to get them in there after a few. They were like, we can't keep hurting our actors literally.
Exactly.
You know, we didn't have to take any hard hits. But just the physicalities of running, and like I said, I blew both my hamstrings. I said, well, damn, you know, I'm not used to this. Like, did you stretch? I was like, no, I didn't. I'm in my 20s. I'm just running, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So, yeah, man, that one ranks up there pretty high. And then, of course, like I said, Baby Boy, man, you know.
Definitely one of my favorite movies.
Some long-lasting relationships, you know, me and Snoop, we cool, man, you know. And then I've worked with him so many times since then. He was actually on Playmakers as well. He came in for an episode. He was on Playmakers. He played my brother in Playmakers. Yep, you got to go check that shit.
Man.
You know, it was, you got to understand, this show was on ESPN. Like, when I turn the TV on, I start there. You know what I mean? So I know a lot of men across the world like I didn't realize what stardom was until that show was on and I went to Vegas. Bro, I'm talking. Like, I've been mobbed before, and I've been, you know, certain inner cities. I'm more of a black actor than a universal actor. I can admit that. I've been on black sitcoms. We talk about Baby Boy, black show. You know what I mean? I've done some universal things, done quite a few. But typically, in my community, I'm more popular than everywhere else.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
I go other places. Like, my brother, he go anywhere. Oh, my God. You know what I mean? I go someplace, they're like, you look like somebody. But I mean, keep walking.
You look like
somebody. Most of the time. But when Playmakers was on, bro, I got absolutely mobbed in a casino.
Oh,
and,
wow.
you know, I'm used to just being me and my boys, whatever it is. I had, you know, guys I had one cat that was like the family security type of dude, but that was it. I knew like bodyguards. No, I just have my boys I roll with, and then like one cat that kind of helps me get through situations like, excuse us. Yeah, he's here for whoop-de-whoop. All right, here we go, that type of thing. But I wish I would have had a whole security team during that time because it got a little scary. Like, it was that crazy, bro. Like, once they said, oh, that's DH from Playmakers, that was it. They had security had to get us out of the casino, like ushering us and pushing people off us. Like, it was nuts. But that was the first time I really felt what stardom, you know, was. But, yeah, man, you know, just being a part of that, like I said, was a dream come true. And it was a fun time in my life.
Yeah. So the brother being who he is, you know, can you just help us understand and just give us a little situation on what it was that you did differently to stand out, you know, and to make your own name, you know, and not be under his shadow?
You know, the thing is with that, you know, I was always very proud of him. You know, when he won an Oscar, it was like, we won an Oscar. People are like, was that pressure? Fuck no. What do you mean pressure? I don't understand what you mean. You know, look, you got to get one. That's not how Oscars work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't how it work in our community. Like, you know, a black person get an Oscar, that's it for about 10 years. They'll be like, you next. No,
yeah.
You know, so But I was also, I was so proud. As soon as I heard Gooding, I think it was cute, that part. Everything else was yelling and screaming when they announced his name. But it was always a plus if I would go into an audition room or I'd meet a producer, I'd have a meeting, and they say, Omar Gooding, any relation to Cuba? I said, that's my brother. Oh my God, I love him. And that would be an icebreaker. You know what I mean? It was never like, oh, that's your brother? Oh, well, good luck. You better, big shoes to fill. No, it was never that. Not once, Yeah. So it was always a plus for me. And then having him to be able to ask for advice, or, what do you think of this? Or should I expect? That type of thing. He was always, open door when it came to me asking questions about anything. But I was always my own man. So it wasn't hard. It wasn't like, oh man, what do I got to do to make myself look different? Please. When you see us standing side by side, he's 5'10", 170. I'm 6'1", 270. You know what I mean? Not really, but damn near. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a big difference physically to us. And so when people see me, when I go into a room, I'd have to tell them he's my brother. It's not like I look so much alike that they were like, oh, you just a clone of him, or it's just, no thanks. There's been a few times where people always say the big question is, well, if you boys are both actors, why aren't you doing stuff together? Well, it's also funny because when you do see us side by side, then you see how much we actually resemble each other. When he did Jerry Maguire, I auditioned to play his brother in the role. Now, the story goes, the director didn't want to seem like he was showing favoritism by hiring the lead and then the brother to play the brother. Like, nah, so he just went a different direction. So be it. There was another time when he did OJ recently, right?
Oh my gosh!
I read for AJ Cowlings. That would have been the guy with him in the Bronco, But they were like, "Man, we loved you, but you guys look a little too much alike. I think it'll throw everybody off. It'll kind of, you know what I mean? It's one thing if you're watching a movie and you're like, he doesn't look that much like OJ, but he looks enough for us to know that we're watching a show and so forth. But then you see this guy's supposed to be AJ Cowlings. He looked like his twin in the back seat. Like, oh, no, what the fuck are we watching?
Yeah.
They didn't look that much alike at all. So, so that's probably the only place that would stop us from working. And we actually did do a show together. He did a whole season on a show called Big Time in Hollywood, Florida. Not a lot of people saw it. Well, I mean, I'm sure a couple million. The ratings were fine. But it was crazy. And he played himself. And when he took the role, he said two stipulations. One, I want you to hire my son. So his oldest son was one of the PAs on the production. And he said, I also want you to give write in a role for my brother. So, when they offered me the role, I was like, sure, why not? There was just like one scene in the opening of one of the episodes. But I played myself, he plays himself, but then it's obviously super exaggerated. So, like we're on a boat somewhere and he's got like a fucking thong on, snorting coke or some wild shit. And I'm like, bro, you need to calm down. It's like the most outrageous scene you've ever seen in your life. But it was kind of fun to work with each other, like that. And it was like, we got to do this again, man. So, with me raising babies and being a husband and a father and all that, I'm producing now. I got new movies coming out. I'm doing music as well. It's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to get another interview for because I see
You calling or you listening, tune in every week. Line for line. Oh yeah, I'm going line for line.